Welcome to the Wired for Success podcast, your show for ambitious, mission-driven entrepreneurs who want to build million-dollar businesses without sacrificing their health, relationships, or happiness, who understand that in order to build their empire, they need a solid foundation, and that the more they are thriving, the more their business is thriving too. This show brings you the very best from science, self-development, and entrepreneurship to set you up for sustainable success. Hi, I'm Claudia Garbutt, the scientist turned mindset and high performance coach for entrepreneurs, and I help you get wired for success. Hey everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Wired for Success podcast, where we talk about all things science, self-development, and entrepreneurship that help you get to that next level of success in your life and business. And my guest today is Molly Ruland, the CEO and founder of Heartcast Media, a digital content agency focused on content marketing for founders, CEOs, coaches, and brands. Molly specializes in producing high-quality branded video content for businesses that want to generate revenue and create strategic relationships through content marketing. She's a frequent speaker about the business of podcasting, marketing, and content creation. And she believes that listening is the revolution, and this is evident in the work she produces with multiple podcasts in the top 10% of downloads. So welcome, Molly, and thank you so much for taking the time to be on my show today.
Thank you so much for having me, Claudia. It's an honor.
It's my pleasure. Molly, when and why did you fall in love with content marketing?
Well, I've been in multimedia for the last 23 years. Girls. I've been in marketing for the last 23 years. So I've owned a multimedia company. I managed multiple artists and oh my God, I'm so sorry. Girls. This is so terrible. I really apologize. I've been in marketing for over 23 years. I've owned a multimedia company based in Washington, D.C. We supported art, music, and culture through community music. I had a 3-story building. We really did a lot in the community, and I learned a lot about marketing, understanding business, how businesses work, how they don't work. Primarily, I made a lot of mistakes, but really just sunk my teeth into audio, video, and all things marketing from a very grassroots level all the way up to where we are now.
Now, as you said, you've been doing this for a while. What have you learned about building a personal brand in the process of the entire journey?
Well, a lot, if you're really firm on what it is you do and the services that you offer and the value that you bring, then a personal brand almost evolves on its own because you are pushing that brand in a sense. So, being very clear on who you are, being very authentic, even if it's not necessarily popular, but like sticking to who you are and not what you think is popular, what's trending on TikTok. It's really easy to be, misled by the new shiny thing, but it's not always authentic to your brand or who your clients are and who you're trying to serve.
That's true. I mean, especially in the beginning, we are all tempted to just throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks, I guess, or just to chase the shiny objects. And I think it's just this process or evolution where you start to see what is really true to who I am, what's my authentic self, and how can I show up and serve my dream clients, right? Now, what have you found most difficult about having your own business, and how are you navigating those challenges?
Being a one-man operation is definitely the hardest. I mean, you have to understand everything. You have to learn accounting and people management and marketing and taxes, and it's a lot to navigate for one person. And if you're not actively seeking out mentors or peers and people that you can lean on, it's a very, very lonely place to be an entrepreneur. You're really, you're just out there. And even if you're a business owner with multiple employees, if you're a solo business owner, you're wearing all of that responsibility as well.
Yeah, that's true. So what does your support system look like? So who are the people that you trust, or who are you looking up to as a mentor or a coach?
I have a lot of really good friends in the business world who are, peers of mine who have become friends. I'm in a mastermind every week to make sure that
Yeah.
I'm getting the support that I need with somebody else who's in a very similar, actually almost has an exact same business as I do. I read a ton of books. I have read probably 130 books in the last 4 years on business development. And that's where I really credit learning a lot of my um, the business and leadership skills that are not inherently taught and you don't pick up just by being an entrepreneur.
Mm. Yeah, I think learning is super important. So, how do you make sure you carve out time in your schedule to keep on learning?
Well, I'm really big on audiobooks. And so that way, what I can do is like listen to them when I'm driving. Like I can listen to them while I'm doing other things. And then that way, I'm not just wasting that time. I was, I used to manage 4 Airbnbs. It was kind of the beginning of this whole shift of like, you don't have to do this anymore. And so I was listening to music and I was doing this work while also running a business. I mean, I was running myself absolutely ragged and I was listening to music. And when you listen to the music over and over again, it's like the same thought, neural pathways in your brain are firing.
Mhm.
You don't even realize it, right? All those 50,000 thoughts a day that your brain has. When you listen to this familiar music over and over again, what happens is your brain is just cycling through that stuff. A lot of it is negative, a lot of it's not serving you, and it's not new thoughts for the most part, And so I realized this. And so I thought, well, while I'm doing these other things, I'm going to put some new thoughts into my brain and change kind of the pathways and what it is that I'm chewing on all day. And so I started reading very actively. And instead of thinking about something negative or something pointless, I was now thinking about the thing that I read in the book that I could implement into my own business and make a big difference with. That just created excitement and new pathways in my brain and made me want to read more and made me want to learn more and then implement those things because I would see like a direct improvement every single time.
I love that. And I really love audiobooks and podcasts so much because I've had kind of like the same mindset shift or the same realization that all the time that I just spend listening to radio, I could just listen to audiobooks and podcasts instead and learn so much in the little time we have in our busy lives each and every day. Is there maybe another important mindset shift that has really helped you succeed in your business and or your personal life?
Mm. You know, you don't have to do this anymore, or I don't have to do this anymore. That was like the most freeing statement that I ever made when I realized I don't like my life. I was very successful from the outside looking in, but I wasn't happy, and I was listening to Tom Bilyeu's podcast, actually, Impact Theory, 4 years ago. And all
Mm-hmm.
these people were saying your greatest success comes after your greatest failures. Hurry up and get on through that. You know what I mean? Like, don't keep lingering for no reason. Or the greatest mistake business owners make is doing something that's not working and just continuing to do it. And I mean, I just remember stopping dead in my tracks and going, "Oh God, that's my life. I'm not enjoying this. It's not working." And that moment of realizing I don't have to do this anymore. It was the beginning of the journey of recognizing that I can create a life that I want to live, that I don't need a vacation from, but I am going to have to do hard things and I'm going to have to work hard, but I don't have to do this anymore.
This is so powerful. So, congratulations. This is a huge shift. And I mean, I bet you have spent some time just reflecting on that. But if you would summarize it, what was it that led you to being so unhappy, even though you had all the success on the outside?
Whew, easy. I devalued myself constantly and I poured from an empty cup.
Mm.
I made sure no one was hungry and no one asked me if I had eaten. I put myself in a position where I was always the provider. I was always the one. And I didn't have the ability to be the provider. And so I had, 18 employees and a 3-story building, and I built a recording studio and a podcast studio and a live music stage, and, did all these things and was managing 4 Airbnbs to pay those bills. And people were looking at me from the outside thinking, oh, she must have privilege. She must have a trust fund. She doesn't have all this money. And I'm like, no, I'm literally cleaning toilets all day so that you can be an artist and have the dream that you always wanted.
Oh, wow. Well,
And it it was a lot, you know. Um
that
and I
must be,
had I'm
yeah.
sorry. Uh I had some health issues that weren't going away, and I was deteriorating in front of people, and no one noticed. And it's I just got to the point where I just it's really it's a lot. But 10 years earlier, I'd had multiple spinal surgeries. I had been rear-ended by a car. I was born with weak bones. I've already had a bunch of spinal surgeries, and I was in so much pain for 3 years that every day I prayed that I wouldn't wake up the next day. I prayed for cancer because I didn't want to take myself out. I knew it would destroy the people that love me. I prayed for cancer. Well, I didn't get it. I got better. My life improved. I built this business. I did all these things, and then I had this big health scare, and they said, well, we think you have cancer.
Oh,
And
no.
I thought, well, that that would track. I definitely begged for it, almost every day for a couple years of my life there. And so it just really kind of opened my eyes. And then they said I didn't have it, and I was disappointed. And that's the moment when I said, I have to change everything about my life because this isn't working. And
Mm.
so the universe sat me down, right? Sometimes you sit yourself down, and sometimes the universe sits you down. And I got sat.
Oh my God, that sounds so tough. And it's something that I've experienced myself because I went through cancer. So I had leukemia. And
Mm.
it was something where I was also, just like you described, in this toxic environment for a long time. And then I also, when you just mentioned that you prayed for cancer, it's so ironic because I found myself at a point where I was like, when I got the diagnosis, I was relieved because I didn't have to go back to work. And I had the same epiphany moment where I was like, okay, this is this is clearly something that I need to change going forward, because if you get a diagnosis like this and you feel relief, then something is terribly wrong and needs to change. And it's so fascinating how something like that can act as just the pattern interrupt that we need to get out of our own way and start doing things differently. Whew.
I'm so sorry you went through that, but here we are, right? Like here we are somehow, some way. So I'm glad you made it.
Thank you. Yeah, I think what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. So all good. And let's talk about podcasting, because that's something that we are both very passionate about. And I will be the first to say that podcasting was not something that I ever thought I'd be doing, mainly because I was absolutely terrified of public speaking. And now here we are. I've been podcasting consistently for pretty much 3 years now. My show is even currently ranked in the global 2%, which is like, ooh, amazing. And who would have thought? And as a fellow podcast host, what do you enjoy most about having your own show?
Girls, sorry, I muted at the wrong time. I think, well, it's a great business development tool, right? Like for Heartcast Media, we have a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great business development tool. It gets me in front of more people, potential clients. It's all about the relationship, right? And same thing with being a guest on other people's podcasts. To me, it's relationship building. So it's not about, oh, I'm gonna get in front of Claudia's audience and I'm gonna sell my book. I don't even have a book, just FYI. But like, it's not about what I can get from your audience. It's about a relationship. It's a new relationship with another podcaster, with a fellow businesswoman, right? With like another human. It's just an opportunity to have a conversation and connect with somebody that has similar interests. And I think that all relationships in life are super important, whether they're business or personal. And so when you look at it that way, about like building and or creating this tapestry of people and experiences in your life, then having a podcast is such a great way to do that, because it's similar more personal than just meeting somebody at a business convention or a networking meeting or a, one of those, meetings that you meet every week and everybody does their sales pitch, like it's just a different way to do business and to create relationships in your life that have value.
I totally agree. And it's so fascinating because, I mean, you meet people like you and I never met before, but then you have amazing conversations straight off the bat. It's like you, you don't have that kind of conversations in your regular life. It always takes some time to warm up to new people before you share your story. And with a podcast, it's kind of like this fire starter. You dive in immediately. You have these amazing conversations. You get to know people, and you get to build those relationships that, just like you said. So that's what I really love about my show as well. But well, fun is one thing and relationship building is one thing, and of course it also has to somehow support your business, because otherwise it's just a hobby and it can still be fun, but you pour all this time, money, and energy into it, and if it does not support your business, that's where I see that a lot of podcasters just stop and give up after a short period of time because they do not see an ROI. Maybe they enjoy the relationship building aspect, but if it does not support their business, then they give up pretty soon. So, how does your podcast support your business? And do you have a podcast funnel? And if so, what does it look like? Can you share a little bit of the behind the scenes?
For sure. Well, and I could definitely speak on that almost even more intelligently in regards to our clients. So we're a podcast production agency and we produce branded podcasts. We very specifically produce podcasts for businesses. And we have a very different theory on it. So my take is focus on the guest and not the audience. If you're going to have a podcast for your business, it should be a business development tool. So identify 12 people you want to do business with this year, interview them, do one season, 12 interviews, and be really targeted with who you're interviewing and why. Because maybe it's out of 12 episodes, 8 of them could be people you want to do business with, and 2 of them are clients that you already have that you'd like to keep. And maybe the other 2 are friends of yours on LinkedIn that have big followings who said they would do it. But be very, very strategic about who you're interviewing and why, instead of just getting on this endless treadmill of interviewing people and telling their stories, but not being really sure why. Like, how does that tie in? And why are you talking to that person specifically? So, when you look at it that way, you're getting the benefit of the relationship. You're getting that business development very, very specifically. And then you're also getting the Trojan horse of SEO that is a podcast, blog posts, newsletters, all this metadata, YouTube videos, content there, second largest search engine in the world, right? You've got all this great, hopefully keyword focused metadata about your podcast out there. You've got social media graphics, you've got little videos you can put up. Now you're filling your content calendar, but the focus should be the guest and not the content calendar and not the blog post, but who are you interviewing and why? Because as a business owner, your goal is to run your business. If you want to be a famous podcaster, then that's a completely different route, right? Most people can't fathom doing a weekly podcast and running their business and having time for their families, themselves, whatever. So I think targeted, specific runs are far more effective than endless episodes of interview.
Totally agree. That's exactly the same philosophy that I use around podcasting as well. It makes so much more sense to do it that way and to focus on the guests rather than on the audience, because if you focus just on the download numbers and growing your audience, it can be disheartening because it's really slow to grow your show. I mean, if you don't have a huge following yet and you're starting from scratch, it can take a long time. Do you have any tips for growing that audience? If someone is out there who says, okay, I want to be the famous podcaster, I would just want to grow my audience. Do you have any tips for that type of person?
I mean, it's like anything. It's pay to play. You got to put some ads on some things. You got to be real targeted. You got to have, collaborations and partnerships with people and go live with different, you got to really put effort into it. It's like the field of dreams, right? You could build the most beautiful thing. It doesn't mean that they're coming. People have to know about it for them to listen to it. And so, you can do the slow and steady burn of the organic growth, building an audience. But if you want to be a famous, podcaster and really have those numbers, I mean, you almost need a PR agent. You definitely need a marketing plan, and you absolutely need a budget for advertising if you really want to get big numbers. I mean, if you think about it, like, NPR advertises their podcast and they're the number one podcast, but they still advertise those podcasts. Nobody's immune from having to market their content.
Yeah, that's true. That's so true. Now let's talk a little bit about systems and automation. How much automation do you personally use in your business? And can you maybe walk us through your podcast production system?
Oh my God. Yeah. A woman after my own heart. These are my favorite things to talk about, honestly. I love systems. So I spent the first year of my business like solely building the systems, getting clients and doing all that, but really focused on the system. So I use Acuity, right?
Mhm.
Like Acuity, Google, Slack, Trello, all of that. So what happens is when our clients go on the website and they want to book a podcast episode, they click the button, they fill everything out. What's their name, their point of contact, who's the host, who's going to be the guest, what are their names, what are their social media handles, upload their headshot. Everything is right there. When do you want this out? What is the name of the episode? As soon as they hit send, they either pay or they have a code because they've already paid. Everything is paid up front, right? Anybody who has a podcast production agency, or any sort of services business, you should really get accustomed to having your clients pay up front. And then from there, that information gets sent to Trello. A Trello card is created that the entire team sees. All the team members involved in podcast production services are added to that card immediately. So everything that client put on the card or put on that form is automatically included in that card. So that way nobody has to say, hey, where's the headshot so I can make the graphic, or what is the name of the episode? Everything is right there on the card. The client only has to deal with it once. We don't have to bother them. We have everything we need. From there, that card gets put onto the client's board, and then it moves down an assembly line: audio, video, show notes, blog post. It's like a real, assembly line of services. And then there's checklists on those cards, clients notified, this has been posted, this reel's been posted, this short's been posted, client's been notified, and then it goes into a little archive. And so, and when that happens, I get a Slack notification, when a new card shows up, payment's already been made and the team has already started working. And so that has been a lifesaver in my business because I didn't have to, that Olympic sport curling where they massage the ice so the puck moves down. It's like if you're doing that in your business on every invoice, you're gonna end up hating people, because you're gonna be chasing money. So if you can remove any friction from that process between the client paying you and your team getting started without you having to be directly involved, that is a game changer for any business, so we avoid doing a lot of custom work so that way everything can fit into our our assembly line, but we do what we know works. So we kind of advise people not to do custom work, because if you want it to work, you should do these 10 things that we do for you, and most people agree.
I love it. This is amazing, and I think you're absolutely right. And just removing the friction from your processes is going to save you so much energy and time, and just it's going to be so good for your mental health in the long run. Speaking of systems and automation, how do you think AI will change the marketing landscape, especially content marketing? And are you afraid that ChatGPT will steal your clients?
No, because I've quoted her like 6 times now, but my friend Liz Rudner, she's an amazing designer. She's absolutely brilliant. She said, AI will never replace us because the client still needs to know what they want. It's so accurate, because if you ever built a website or done creative work for somebody, they have no idea what they want. That's our job, is to guide them with our experience and knowledge and our skills, right? And so ChatGPT can't really do that. And you could just tell, right? You could just tell when somebody didn't write it. It's a lot of adjectives. It's not enough keywords. It's like, it'll make you sound crazy, yeah, too many adjectives, not enough keywords. So I think that it can streamline some processes, right? Like in podcasting, show notes and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Absolutely. We're 100% using AI to run our podcast and pull data. We still have a human going through all of that and the transcript and everything else. But having AI to do stuff like that, game changer for sure, right? Because we can focus on keywords. It might do a better job than the human as long as we've checked it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, those repetitive tasks, just give them to chat. Chat
Give
is your
them to
best
chat.
friend.
Right. And that's not, nobody's job has been taken because of that. Like nobody's in danger because of that. Like that's just helping us get better, but at the end of the day, podcasting is great because chat GPT can't make me and my terrible dogs this morning. You know what I mean? Thank God. But like chat GPT can't fake me or fake you or replicate the relationship or the connection that we've had on this call. We clearly have a lot in common. Who knew, from Germany to Costa Rica, and chat GPT can't replace that. And I think the more we enter into this digital artificial society, people are going to crave real people more and more and more.
Yeah, I agree. Coming back to content marketing in general, which to a lot of people can feel like just running on this hamster wheel. How do you personally make sure that you're staying happy, healthy, and productive and not fall back into those old patterns where you just burned out over time?
Well, as a business owner, some of that you can't avoid, like sometimes stuff happens in your business. I made a bad hire last year and I paid for it. I had to rebuild the pipeline, and that was really stressful and difficult, but sometimes being a business owner is stressful and difficult. It just shouldn't always be that way, right? Like there's
Mhm.
got to be a balance. And so personally, I get up early. I wake up around 4:30 every day, not like an alarm. I just live really close to the equator. And so the circadian rhythm is real. And so I'm up with the sun and I'm tired at 7:30 at night, when the sun is down. But I get a couple hours every morning that I can spend in the garden. Like right now, it's actually 6 a.m. and 6:30 now, but I've been awake for a couple of hours. So this interview wasn't stressful to me. I had time to be in the garden with the dogs, make some coffee, enjoy a little bit of sunshine before I jumped into my day. And that's made a huge difference in quality of life.
So important, right? The early morning. I love the early morning as well. Just having some time to myself. So, with over half of the year already behind us, what big goals do you hope to achieve by the end of the year? Or are you a goal setting person in general, or do you just go with the flow?
I do. I like setting my sights on things. And I read recently, what's his name? Donald Miller just put out a new book called How to Run a Small Business or something like that. And he's the guy that wrote Story Brand.
Hmm.
And he was saying that you should rewrite your mission statement with revenue goals on it. And so that your team can understand why quality is important. And if there's revenue goals that's incentivized for them, then everybody's on the same page to create quality, but there's also a personal incentive. And I thought that's a really interesting way to look at a mission statement. So I'm kind of dancing around with that idea a little bit. But really, my goal is always financial security for my team and for myself, job security for everybody. Definitely, for sure. I'm hosting a women's retreat in the middle of September called Clarity and
Oh,
Connection.
nice.
Yeah, and it's about just getting clear on what you want in your life. Because I think as women in particular, we don't actually sit and think about what do we want in our life? Like, where do you want to wake up? Is it hot? Is it cold? Do you want to live in Costa Rica? Do you want to live in Germany? Like, where do you actually want to be? And then helping people to get there. And then just connection, because I think we all just have spent way too much time alone in the last couple of years. And it's just really not good for us. So I'm really excited about that. And then of course I have a big revenue goal I want to hit for the company by the end of the year. So, working
And
hard.
are you on track to achieving those goals?
We weren't in the first quarter, but we're picking up steam. So fingers
Yay.
crossed. Yeah.
Awesome. So good on you and all the best for your endeavors. And last but not least, where can our listeners find you online if they would like to learn more about you or connect with you or maybe even work with you?
Absolutely. Well, heartcastmedia.com is a great place. And then I have a personal website, which is mollyruland.com. That's definitely more about making the move to Costa Rica and, that all that stuff, more of a personal branding, coaching, kind of a business, personal brand over there. So if anybody has questions about what is it like to move to Costa Rica or do those things, they can certainly hit me up. But yeah, social media, all the places,
Fantastic. Molly, thank you so much for sharing your tips and your insights and your story with us today. This was fun.
Thank you so much for having me.
Take care and talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Wired for Success podcast. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review. That's a fantastic, easy, and zero-cost way to help the show grow. Just use the link in the show notes and make my day. Want more? For quick, actionable tips and insights to guided meditations and a side of biohacking, join my inner circle and get access to exclusive subscriber-only content. Again, just use the link in the show notes to join the tribe. Thank you for your support and see you on the other side. Take care and talk soon. Bye.